Yeah, so I got this to 2006 Carryall, and we're doing some rear brakes on it today. Yesterday I replaced the whole fulcrum assembly up here. Basically the bearings and stuff that the gas pedal hinges on, and then also the little plastic things that hold the brake pedal fulcrum. I replaced those, so those are all good. The brakes are just not great. Like I said, this is an 06, but this 06 Carryall has, and I believe this is probably the way it is with most Carryalls, it has the old style manual brake, the manual brake backing plate that was used, I think, on the DS carts. They quit using the manual on sometime around 1994, and then in 95 they went to an auto adjuster. But on the Carryalls, apparently, at least on this one, it's got the manual cluster. You can kind of see back here. You can see the adjuster up here at the top. If I pull this off, there's the adjuster. That's where you can adjust the brakes out a little bit. That's the manual adjuster. So yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit. Okay, we'll get her jacked up here by the trailer hitch. We'll get in here and look at this. Looks like the brakes are worn in the typical way. The front lower seems to wear out quicker, whereas the rear pad tends to last a little longer. There's the slider down there. That's the one thing I'm checking to see. This slider right here. This has to be able to move in the groove, and I can't seem to get it to move. I feel like it might be froze up. In which case you just take this out, take it apart, clean it off with WD-40 and whatever, and then put it back together and make sure that it's loose and moves. Because these brake shoes have to be able to center freely in the drum in order to get a good brake. If it freezes up in one position, you might end up not having contact with some of your brake pad, which can make for pretty awful brakes. So we're going to go ahead and take the pads off, take this adjuster out, and see how froze up it is. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is get these pins, turn them sideways, pull that out, and pull out your little pin on the back. And then you do the same thing on the other side. Let's see here. Sometimes it can be a pain to turn the pin. You have to turn it sideways so that it slides out of the hole in the plate. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. Second plate out here. And you're probably going to want to flip out like that. Take that. Put that down there. What I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm not going to put new pads on this right now, but I am going to flip the pads. I'm going to put this one that's on the back, I'm going to flip it to the front, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, because like I said, this part of the pad on the front is the part that wears out the quickest on these golf carts, whereas your rear pad tends to last longer. So we've got a little more pad over here, so I'm just going to flip it around and get some more life out of these pads. there. Okay, getting the pads out is pretty easy. It's a little harder getting them back on, but now see that? It does move a little bit. But it needs to move better than that. I feel like it's probably getting locked up. Basically all this stuff, this whole mechanism has to be taken out and cleaned up. And this thing has to slide freely. There's a big rectangular hole here. You'll see when I take it apart. It has to move freely in there so that the pads can center. And that's the main thing I'm doing. Yeah, see, I can move it with two hands, but it needs to be lubed up a little bit. Alright, so the first thing we got to do is undo this nut back here. Let's see, I thought it was a 12 millimeter, but let me look. That seems to be right. So we'll loosen this nut, and this is going to take this whole assembly out of here so we can clean it up. Am I tightening or loosening? I should be loosening. Yeah. It's kind of hard to tell when you're backwards, but I believe I am loosening it. There's a nut over here on the other side that's spinning inside the... Here, I'll show you. This is the other side over here. And this nut right here is wanting to spin inside this mechanism, and the mechanism is supposed to kind of hold on to it. So you just need a little bit of pressure to hold it so that it spins properly. Try to clamp it right where the nut is, just to hold it. Almost. Okay. Let's see if this works. There we go. Well, that's the wrong way. I don't want to tighten it, I want to loosen it. I mean, ideally, if you wanted to, you probably could spray this down with WD-40 and it might just end up being okay, but I like to take these things apart, get them on a mild wire wheel, clean them up and put them back fresh and clean. Just lessens the chance that it's going to happen more frequently, that this thing gets froze up. I just did the brakes on my 87, which has this same brake cluster, the same brake backing plate, this manual adjuster. I just did those, and they were locked up. I mean, there was like rust up in here, and I took all the pieces off, put them on a wire wheel, and really cleaned them up, and then just doused them with WD-40. Okay. Alright, so here's all the pieces we're going to clean up. And this is a fulcrum here. This needs to be freely, this needs to move freely. It popped out of there. It's got to go back in there, but yeah, just got to clean the stuff up. Here's the big rectangular hole without the mechanism in it. Like I said, that whole thing has to be able to slide within here, or otherwise your brakes are not going to work properly. I'm going to get all this grime and crap off of here that would cause it to not slide well. You really only have to clean the one side where the slider rides on it. This other side here just goes up against the backing plate and doesn't move. But over here is where the metal slides on itself. So you just need to clean up this side of this particular piece. Just want to douse this stuff with WD-40. Now on this one, you remember how this thing kind of fell out of this bracket. On my other golf carts, these two forks that hold in this fulcrum were slightly pinched. So I did that. I put it in the vise and just put a slight little pinch on it to keep it from popping out of there. I mean, I don't think it's going to pop out of there when it's mounted, but it's just something I did that worked well on the other ones I did. So yeah, we just douse that with WD-40. Same with this, all these surfaces that are going to be sliding, you know. Just douse them up. Alright, so there's all our cleaned up pieces. We'll put them over and get them back together. On this one, there's two little guide tangs there, and they go in these two holes, so that makes it easy. Make sure you get that right. Kind of set that. I don't know if that's going to stay there. On this one, the side with the ridges that are popping off of it, you can see they're kind of on the side there. That goes inside. It goes this way. Let me just take this off just to make sure. Yeah, that goes like that. And that like that. And you get a back, one of these little fork looking pieces goes back here. And that's what the bolt goes through. Where's my bolt? So the bolt will just kind of go through here. And let's see. The other fork goes through there. This goes in here. And that goes through. You just have to kind of line all these up. There's my nut. There's the nut. see here. There we go. There's that. Okay. This has to go in here, and then and the bolt has to go through it, just like that. Okay. Now we get the nut started. That should be it right there, started. So we tighten this down, but we don't tighten it. We just tighten it so that it quits moving. Let's see. So it quits moving like this direction. You know, you just get it snug in there, but it has to be able, like I said, it's got to be able to move in that big opening. This whole assembly has to open so these brakes can center themselves in the just a little too tight. We'll loosen it up just a hair. No side-to-side movement, but it moves freely in here. That's what you want. You want this to move freely like this. You know, you're just barely touching it. It wants to go. So we'll go ahead and douse this down with some more WD-40. Oops, I missed there. Get it all in there. That lever's working good. Okay. Okay, so on these brake pads are actually identical between themselves. The top part here, see this part right here, where it looks like it's got kind of a radius going to a point. This is the top. The bottom looks kind of like a fat arrow. That's always the bottom. So in order to flip them around, all you do is basically just kind of rotate them over, and now that's how we're going to have them as far as, you know, front being this way and back. We're going to put them like that because there's more pad on this side, and this is right here in this area is where it wears the most, and it just doesn't tend to wear. I mean, this pad isn't even that bad, but I've seen worse where, you know, there's just barely a ribbon right here. So, but we'll flip it around, put them back on. Okay, now on these, the spring goes inside with the hook facing, you know, hooking in from the back side of the pad, like that. I don't know if you can see that. Well, I'll put them up here and then I'll hold it up. This is how the pads ought to be when they're back there. You know, the hooks enter the holes on the shoe from the back side. And that's how they get on there. So basically what I'll do is I'll leave one of the bottom ones unhooked. I'll put the top ones over. Well, sometimes it comes off. Just hook that back. Okay, there's that. Let me try to get this hooked. Okay, now they're hooked. So now we just use a kind of a screwdriver just to get them up. Or you could use brute force. I mean, you know, that's got to go there. Got to slide it into that thing. So here, pull that out. There's the bottom. The top is in there. And then the top one, just kind of finagle it. There they are. That was the easiest I ever did that. But you can see how these are together and see how they move. Like this your pads have to be able to move like this. I know I feel like I've said it a million times, but it took me a while to learn how this works. So I want to just drive it home. But this has to be able to move like this. And it's my understanding that these pads, this allows the pad to self-center in the drum so that when the pads push out, they center out and all the pad contacts the drum. If your thing is frozen in one position, if your slider down here is frozen in one position, you might end up only pushing out and touching like right in here or up here or somewhere, depending on where your thing freezes up, and you only get a portion of the pad in the braking. That's why a lot of guys get frustrated because they replace their brake pads, but they don't do anything to maintenance this thing down here, to clean it up, to make sure it slides. They put new pads, new springs and everything, thinking, oh, this is going to be great. Well, then they still don't have any brakes, or they don't have any brakes, or their brakes are just the same as they were when they started. The thing, like I said, the main thing is to make sure that you service that bottom piece so it slides. It's got to move. So, all right. So now we're going to put our little pins in the back and get our pads. Well, let's do these one at a time. Let's see here. Oh, move the camera a little bit. So we'll get this in here. It's got to come in here, and then you got to push it down and twist that little pin sideways so that it gets locked in there. It can be a pain sometimes. Jeez. Let's try the needle nose. There we go, there's one. I usually just flip that down, because that's, whenever I open one of these, that's usually where it is the hinge thingy is kind of facing downward, the bigger part of it. So, okay, other side, same thing. All right, there we go. That one went pretty easy. Okay. All right. All right, so that's one side back together. What I'll do is I'm going to do the other side. Well, actually, no, it's not all the way together yet. I have to hook up still have to put the cable back together and put our rubber dust cover back on. Actually, I'm going to clean that up. Okay. So the first thing is to get this rubber piece back on. You have to just kind of massage it on here. It should grab. You might have to finagle it a little bit. hardest part to get mounted is the top part. It's just a narrow space in there. Oh. Okay. All right, I think that's it. I think I got it. The help of my screwdriver. Okay. So then we just need our pin. We got to put it back on the thingy here. Stick this down in here. And you might have to adjust your brakes after the fact, your brake cable, depending on how. Get that in there. Oh, come on. Where are you?
Two hours later.
Literally, as soon as I turned the camera off, I got mad and it went right on. So what the heck? What the heck? It's kind of a weird pin here. This isn't even a... Let me see if I got the right pin for this. Well, I don't have the right pin for it, so we're just going to use it. I went ahead and straightened it out. Get it stuck in here. Get the needle nose and bend it around. Okay. Like I said, I might have to loosen up my brake. I'll have to check, but okay. Pull this out. All right, so there's one side done. So I'm gonna go do the other side. I'm not gonna film the other side. Just gonna basically do the same thing. Just clean up that slider, make sure everything's freed up. Flip around the brake pads if I have to, or if I want to. And then once I get that back together, I'll come back and I'll show you how to adjust the drums using this this slider back here, or not the slider, this adjuster back here. Basically, well, I can show you right now, but basically that bolt, you turn it and it pushes out like a cam in here, and it pulls these two brake pads apart and pushes them out towards the drum. And that can be done to adjust for better braking performance, or if your pads start to wear out and you just need a little bit of, just a couple ticks of the pad getting closer to the drum. So okay, now that I've got all the brakes put back together, back here on the side that I started with, I'm going to show you how you do the adjustment. Brakes are back together. Put your brake drum on, slide it on, and it should spin pretty easily. I mean, it's not gonna spin and stay spinning, but you can see that it turns real easy. We're about to change that. So basically you go back to this adjuster, and I use a crescent wrench. You can use, I think they say this is a 7mm if you have a 7mm, if you have a 7mm wrench, it'll fit this perfectly. But basically you turn it clockwise. Now as you turn it, you'll feel it has like bumps on it, you know, like a cam, like dum, dum, dum. So you keep adjusting it, and you want to adjust it until it doesn't spin. So I'm not quite there yet. 2 more clicks. That's pretty close. Okay. So yeah, I would say that this is not spinning freely. I mean, it's spinning, but not freely. So once you get to that point, when it's not spinning freely, the instructions in the manual say to back it off 5 clicks. So you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that should be your adjustment. That's what they say anyway. It seems to work. It worked on my 87. So we'll see how that pans out when I get it back together.